Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Shop Stool podcast, a podcast for woodworkers and the maker community in general. This is episode number 38, and also the season finale for season 1. My name is Robin Lewis from robinlewismakes.com. I'm joined by Jordan Crawford from Periodic Furniture Studio.
Almost got there. Hello.
We live stream the recording on YouTube every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or UTC plus 10, or you can watch or listen to it later on YouTube, iTunes, or SoundCloud. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. We'll get to your comments and questions towards the end of the show, but feel free to chat amongst yourselves. The idea being that this is also a place for people to meet. So, I guess the biggest announcement, and pretty much what we're going to revolve the show around, is everything all right there, Jordan?
I've just had a big dropout from you, and you've just come back, so I don't know what you said. Okay, well, I was busy introing the show. We've got to the announcement section, and I was just about to say, and this is perfect. This is the most amazingly perfect timing for us to discuss why the season is coming to an end. So yeah, this is the season 1 finale. We weren't going to bring this season to an end as soon as we did, but we've decided we're going to. We'll get into a little bit more detail later, but that's basically what we're going to be talking about in the show. So let's start off with talking about what we've been doing. Okay. I've been doing a lot of R&D. As everyone who is a regular listener knows, my reimagination of my surfboard venture is well underway now. And yeah, it's been a really productive 2 weeks since our last episode. So I've managed to R&D basically all of my core kits. As far as the production goes, I've discovered a few things which are a hindrance, but they've also opened up the door for opportunity at the same time. So back when I made my first couple of boards about 3 years ago, Polonia was just everywhere to be found in WA. And it was cheap, it was easy to get, it wasn't like a hard wood to find in any means. But this time around, when I went looking for it, all of the Polonia plantations have just been bulldozed and burnt. No one is selling it, and the companies that are selling it are like the companies like Cedarclad, who are selling it for architectural purposes, and they import direct and then distribute as a pre-finished panel. So I went down the path of finding out if those companies that do have it would have factory seconds, because I don't need 5 meter lengths of A grade stuff. I just need stuff which I can laminate together.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought Polonia was a local wood.
Yeah, it grows really. I mean, it's a Chinese wood native to China.
Okay.
But it grows really well here. And in Queensland, it seems to be the only place where it's still somewhat easy to find. But through this whole thing, I've actually did the finance, did the cost analysis, did everything, and compared to, what we can do here. And I've actually got the finance to import my own bulk lot from a factory which is FSC approved and everything like that in China. And that has brought my cost down dramatically, and also means that the work that's involved is way less, because I'm buying them in panels which are already the 6 millimeter thickness. I don't need to resaw anything. They're already 3 meters long. I don't need to glue anything, and they're glued to get the panels, but 300 mil wide, so it's kind of modular. Yeah. So say that, Robin, you wanted to buy a longboard, like a mini mal kit, you'd just need it to be 600 wide. So you'd get 4 pieces of that to do your top. 2 pieces of that to get your top deck, 2 pieces of that to get your bottom deck, and you just glue them together. So as far as that goes, it's a much easier way of doing it. It means that I'm now going from just selling plywood frame kits to complete kits, which I think will improve my chances of getting more customers. But yeah, it's been a big admin heavy 2 weeks with all of that sort of stuff, but I'm really excited. Like, I'm feeling so good. Spring has kind of sprung here, so I managed to get out on the weekend and go for a really long walk in the sun, and went out and had lunch it was just recharge the batteries, which is really needed. after a horribly cold and miserable winter.
Are we considered in spring now?
No, we still got like 2-3 weeks, but
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
Today is reclaimed winter. It's absolutely disgusting today, but the last 2 days were just glorious.
We were 30 degrees yesterday, so I just think winter just forgot that it was still winter, and it immediately turned to summer. So yeah, that's why I ask. With the boards, I know in the past you've mentioned that the wood that you're using is slightly inconsequential because it gets covered with resin. So what's the dying need to use Paulownia when you could just use something else?
Weight and strength. So Paulownia has a weight of about 264 kilograms per cubic meter, which if you compare that to like something like Jarrah, for example, I think that's up about 1.2 ton.
Oh, geez. So it's that.
It's margin. Well, depending on which region, it's marginally heavier than balsa wood, but its strength compared to balsa wood is like exponentially greater. So it's got all the properties that you want. And then if you compare that to another light wood like Western red cedar, cedar has like a wicking agent. So if it does get wet, it will want to absorb that moisture, where Paulownia is actually somewhat water resistant and it won't do that wicking effect. So it's just like an all-round good wood for this application because it's super lightweight, it's super strong. It means that we can get the veneers to be fairly thin and keep the board weight. Instead of being 300% heavier than a traditional surfboard, it's only like 30 to 40% heavier.
Does that weight affect how the board maneuvers and works, or is it more just so you can throw it on the top of your car?
It does to a degree, like buoyancy, especially when you're looking at an SUP board, we're looking at like 140 liters. Not many people are going to be 140 kilos riding an SUP board. So in this sort of scale, it's probably not such a bad thing, such an important thing having the weight savings. But what it does allow, as opposed to a traditional fiberglass board, is that it has a lot of flex in it. So it's a different ride experience for one, but the way that it contours a little bit to the ocean, that when you're paddling, it's a different experience as well, which adds to it. And that's where Paulownia is awesome, because it has that tensile strength, but it also has a lot of torsion strength.
Okay, and there's no like engineered timber that you could use. I guess you wouldn't get engineered timber that thin, would you?
No, I mean, you can get, there is a balsa plywood, but its minimum thickness is pretty, I think it's like 12 mil, which is twice the thickness that I'm using. And it also kind of takes away from the fun of it. Like, we're doing strip blank kind of construction in the workshops anyway. When I'm building a board for someone, I'm vacuum bagging panels. But, when you come and attend a workshop, we do it the more hands-on approach, which is one board at a time and getting a pattern and making this your canvas essentially. So
talking about vacuuming, I saw your picture on Instagram.
Yeah, that was painful. I mean, luckily it's an R&D board and it was just with plywood because obviously the Paulownia is not here yet. But yeah, I turned away for 2 seconds and I heard a crack and I turned around, and by the time I registered that that's the plywood literally crushing the frame kit, it was a bit late. So I installed a bleed valve.
So it was actually I just thought it was one of the veneers had buckled in. I didn't realize that the frame had buckled as well.
Yeah, so it crushed the top veneer, it crushed that and cracked it all the way through. And then it's behind me. 3 of the ribs were crushed as well.
Sure.
Yep.
Your vacuum pack's got no chill.
Man, I've never used this vacuum pump. Like, this is one I picked up 3 years ago when I first started this plan. And I had it on for ages, thinking, oh man, this isn't working. And then I realized the other end of my bag wasn't sealed. And then I sealed it up properly. And within a minute, this thing was at full vacuum, which is crazy. So this is a 3 meter long bag. Like, there's a lot of volume that this little pump's moving. It's awesome. It's ex-hospital.
So those bags, can you use that for gluing up? I guess you wouldn't use it for doing like edge jointing or something. You've got to use traditional clamps for that. But if you were to make your own plywood, that's what veneer, that's what you'd be using, right?
Yeah, for veneering and stuff. I mean, traditionally plywood is usually like in a press, but as long as you have a really good substrate, which the bag is dead flat on, you could vacuum bag your own composites, your own basically anything. And this system is designed for like resin infusion. So it actually, you insert resin at one end and then it injects it and sucks it all the way through. And then you get like 100% contact with this wet resin. It's something that's way beyond me though. I'm just using it for pressing essentially.
Interesting. Leo has just said ex-hospital has a dead guy in there. I hope not, because I don't. Is that what they do with the bodies when they want to get rid of them? They just chuck them
they just suck them in, yeah.
They just shrink down to a singularity by the sounds of this pump.
The oil, when I changed the oil, it was pretty yellow, and I thought, this looks like liposuction fat. Please tell me it's not.
So Ian's just said Wood Knight, so that's Paul Jenkins, used a vacuum bag for his game table panels, and that's what I was trying to remember. I know I've seen someone using bags in the past. It was Paul.
I don't know if Paul's got a new one since the last time I saw him, but he was using like a hand evacuating pump. I don't think he had like an external pump. It was a pretty cool system that he was using. It meant that you could do it with just a bag and this, for wine bottles when you suck the air out. It's essentially one of those things as well. I don't know if he's got a new system since then, but that's a cool system.
That game table that he did, that's quite a new one. So it could be a new system.
Yeah. But it's good fun.
So with the, because I know you've got the kits for sale, you've got the boards for sale, and you've got the classes.
Yeah.
Of those three, is there much traction yet, or have you not reached that stage? You're not really marketing it yet.
You just dropped out for that whole thing, but something about marketing.
You've got the three things on the go. You've got the boards for sale.
Yeah.
You've got the kits for sale, and you've got the classes.
Right.
Of those three, is any one of them sort of, are the sales doing well, or have they started, or have you not got to that stage that you're actually doing that yet?
I haven't got to that stage yet. Boards at this stage, I'm not doing boards. I'm just doing the kits and the classes. But I'm heavily thinking about saying that, well, if you would rather me build the board for you, I can do it at the same price. So, if the course is $1,800 to build your own, then it's $1,800 for me to build it for you as well. And I think that will work quite well. But no sales have started yet because of the fact that I'm still in the development stages and that my Polonia, which I've put the deposit on, hasn't actually been delivered to a ship. As soon as I know that has been, they've met their end of the deal and it's on a boat, then I'm going to open up pre-orders and I'll kind of hit the marketing thing pretty heavy with, I'm thinking like 2 for 1, because who wants to come and do a build your own board course by yourself when you could do it with your mate?
But they would still be paying for their own materials.
No, so they'll pay the cost of one, but both of them would leave with a finished product, because initially it's really important to get that word of mouth out there. So, I'll be operating at a loss, but at least it's getting kind of people out there.
And what about doing corporate events as well? I don't know if that's something you could do, team building events.
That's actually a really good idea. I didn't even think about that. Yes.
Your big companies do outings every now and then, team building exercises.
That would be a really awesome sort of thing for even like a surf shop, a mainstream surf shop to do for their team.
Oh yeah, but not even like I've being in the IT industry, being in that real corporate world, I've been to all kinds of crazy team building things that were very far removed from IT, swimming from trees and paintball and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty good thing. And I just thought of that because you were talking about the word of mouth thing. If you can get into that like scene, you might, that word of mouth will spread, and then everyone's going to want to be doing it. So
no, I really like that idea. I didn't even think about doing corporate team building stuff, which is it's brilliant. I've written that down on my bench, so now it's permanent.
It's on the bench. It's basically on the. It's in the pool room.
That's it.
All right, cool. So what else? Anything else going on?
There's some small stuff that's been built for clients, but nothing very exciting. A table base and a picture frame and
that's
that
right.
sort of
We were talking table
boring.
bases last time, yeah.
No, not a huge amount going on, other than this new venture of
Cool. Cool.
What about you?
So two things. I am so close to releasing a video. I was trying to get it done before tonight's podcast, but I just couldn't get to it. Just been super busy. I've been traveling for work quite a bit, which is why we didn't have an episode last week. I was in Adelaide over Tuesday. But yeah, so I've got this video coming out. It's the split level coffee table that I've been talking about for weeks now.
I like the look.
And I talked about this in the video, how this table was very much a learning experience for me, because I would never have made a table like that. When I looked at that design, I was like, this is awful. Why would anyone want this? But all right, off we go. And by the end of it, I think it's amazing. It's turned out to be such a cool design. So as part of the, I guess when you're being paid to do this as a day job, people come to you and say, I want you to build this monstrosity, and you have to take it because it's paid work. In saying that, it was almost this really cool, humbling moment where I had to sit back and think, actually, I don't know enough about this yet to be able to say that design is not going to work. It was only when I saw it full scale, fully built, that I went, actually, this design is good. But I couldn't picture it that far ahead.
Because you did SketchUp for this one as well, right?
Yeah, I did. So I put that into the video, which I thought was really nice. I see all these guys when they do videos like the Frank House and stuff, they've got their designs, and now finally I can put my design in there. Like, yeah, I'm a professional.
Do the what's it called, the Ken Burns or something effect, where it zooms in and yeah. No, I'm stoked. I mean, I sometimes find, I don't know if you've, like, by the sounds of it, you've experienced the same thing, but a SketchUp drawing can either be a really good impression of what it's going to look like, but you're still blown away when the physical item has been built. Like, it's built exactly as the model, but it looks so different. Yeah.
Because even though that table is to scale, and you've got that little picture of the mannequin next to it, so you can see what it's going to look like in relation. You still just cannot get that 100% feel, and I guess that's where prototyping comes in. But one other thing as well that I think it's hard to tell, and maybe this will come with experience. The wood that I used, whatever this oak was also just amazing. I've never worked with wood like that. So, and maybe that's just because I'm a woodworker, but to me, that was a huge selling point. And that advice that you gave me about the oil, because they went with an oil finish. Amazing.
Yeah, so that was a good finish.
I put like proper hours into sanding that. And I reckon that the sheen, the consistency of the sheen on that timber was better than any wipe on poly table I've done.
Oh, I mean, oil, you can get some of the best finishes out, but yeah, prep is where it's all at. And if you put the time into it, it pays off, as you've just found out. And
when you've got a nice big surface area like that you can really buff up. It looked, and I've had a couple of people, and that's why I'm thanking you, because I had a couple of people say, wow, dude, like the finish on that is just amazing. How did you do that? And yeah, it's just, and I think it was 2 coats. Yeah, it was 2 coats. But after the first coat, it looked amazing already. Because before I even put the oil on, the timber already had a gloss, sort of a sheen
you kind
to
of burnished it a little bit.
Yeah, so I can see now why people go the oil route, because it's so easy to apply, and you end up with this luster that makes all the other polyurethanes just look like plastic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very quickly becoming a convert to oil, especially with this new Rubio thing, because the distance it goes is phenomenal, but the finish I'm getting off it is just as good as a spray. But the thing is that I'm done. I walk away, some dust lands on it, doesn't matter. Just rub it off. So it's like all of this boxed off area, I don't need that anymore. I can just use that as a useful space and finish wherever it sits.
What happens with glasses, with condensation, or I guess moisture in general? How does it affect the oil? Because I know with I've heard that it's shellac is the one that really shows
shellac
that.
The worst.
Polyurethane, I've never, on all the tables that I've made, I've never seen any cup marks, and I've been pretty liberal with it. And what happens with the oil? Do you need to be careful?
I think you can get dark spots under it, but it's a little bit easier to repair because what it's actually doing is it's drawing more moisture up through the wood. So you can actually kind of dry it out with an iron, put a tea towel down and then iron it out and it fixes it. Whereas with shellac, it's actually in the finish. But to be honest, now that you say it, I've got probably 6 or 7 pieces in my home, which I've built and finished with just oil. And I never use a coaster with hot drinks, and I'm addicted to drinking tea. The minute that cup's empty, it's back with tea. And I have no rings. So I think maybe it's kind of starting to be a thing of the past with that sort of stuff because of hardeners and all that sort of cool stuff that they're adding into it now.
Yeah. Because I've never seen it before, and that's why when I was giving it to when I was going through the different finishes for the clients, it was either water-based poly, the oil-based poly, or oil. And the first question is, what's going to happen to the cups? And I went, it'll be fine, but you can't quote me on that because I don't know. I've never used it, but I've never seen one, a ring before.
No, I think the only thing that you probably would be careful about is red wine stains, like ring stains if you have red wine, because oil isn't going to produce like a film finish unless it's like a Danish oil, which does, but not really. It's more of a half film finish. So it could get into the pores, and then you would have a really hard time cleaning that out without sanding it back. But anything that's clear and all that, I wouldn't be worried about.
Interesting. So there's that, and and then the other thing, this is super cool, and I'm so excited to be telling the story because since day one that we started this podcast, I've always been the guy who's, as much as you guys have hard times with business, you still have a business, right? Yeah. This is still your business. I've always been the guy still transitioning into that phase. Anyway, the person that I made this coffee table for, someone that they know came to them and said, would Rob be able to make me a sandwich board for my shop?
Hey.
And now, obviously, I'm not
as
saying
in like a A-frame advertising material thing. Yeah, okay.
With a chalkboard on it so they can write on it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, but this is that word
of down.
This is that step that you've got to take. So I haven't actually quoted them on it yet. I've given them a rough idea of the price, and now I'm just waiting to hear back. But this is that. All right. So it's gone from one person to 2 people, and we just got to hope that this continues.
That's it. And this is something I'm really bad with, but put it on the back of everything that you make. Just make sure you'll fix contact information for you, because someone.
Sorry, what do you mean?
So on the A-frame, on the inside where it's not going to be seen like first sight, put on the back of it like either a business card or something, just so if someone wants it 4 years down the line and there's I can't remember who made this, and they pick it up, look, there's his maker's mark, and it's got all your details. Are
you talking about like a stamp imprint, or
like a stamp or anything?
This is card to it.
I've done both things actually. Like on bench seats, under the apron, I've just stapled my business card onto it before I had like emblems made up.
And the client doesn't complain that you are
you can't see it.
Doing some clandestine marketing there.
No, it's like you're the artist and this is your signature. You got to put it on there somewhere. Okay. And because this is also like your driving force for potential career path, you got to seize every opportunity you can to get some recognition out there.
Well, you definitely make a good point about the business card. I must remember that when I deliver, to get a couple business cards as well, just so that when people come in and see it and go, oh, that's amazing. I wonder if this guy will be able to make my $2,000 dining table.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the card is there, off you go. Yeah. So it's probably going to be made out of mobile, just because it's get hold
weather
of.
resistant.
And it's weather resistant. So yeah, it should be a fairly straightforward build. And yeah, I'm super, super pumped.
So $100 an hour, is that what you're charging?
Oh, yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll give them mates rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've still got to work out what I'm playing with the idea of is making it relatively cheap and not too worry about time. It'll be materials plus a tiny bit of profit. Time's not an issue. I know we've talked about this in the past that you got to be careful, because if you start too low and then you start jacking up, then people are like, hang on, what happened? But at the same time, I think I'm still new enough that I need to be adopting a very defensive approach and being as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I mean, definitely err on the side of caution when it comes to it, but don't skimp yourself out of what your time is worth. Like, this is the one thing where so many people would fail, is that they don't value their time as much as they should. So you're definitely going to underestimate how much time it takes to build something. So you have to price the kind of profit on the assumption that you're going to be making a loss on time. Maybe not on money, but on time. I would say, and then remember that if you go to like a skilled tradesman who has a workshop somewhere, they're not going to do anything for less than $90 an hour, especially in Queensland.
Really, as much as that?
Oh yeah, like you go to anyone which has just a bit of high vis on in a workshop, it's $90 an hour just to walk in that door. So don't sell yourself short, but also don't sell yourself stupid. Don't think, oh, this is an A-frame. This is totally worth $9,000. Like, don't be an idiot, but also I wouldn't be pricing yourself so low that just so you're guaranteed the job.
I've just seen Nick in the comments said, I took the plunge a year ago, part-time, and I just went full-time a week ago. That's awesome. That's a really cool story to hear. That's the stories that I want to hear more of, because I'm hoping to do the same thing eventually.
Well, if you want, you can come over to WA. You can take over this shop. I'll get the one next door, and
we can go into competition against each other. So then you just make sure that you push your prices up, so I get business on the one, and then I'll push my price, and then you get the business on the other.
Every second table, we just.
I'm sure there's some kind of collusion, fraud act against people doing that.
Yeah. Have you seen our politics? I'm sure it's fine.
So, all right. Well, let's get on to tonight's topic. We've got about half an hour to get through it. And it's not really too much of a topic tonight. What I wanted to do was touch on the reason we're bringing this to an end, potential upcoming changes. And if there was anything that we've gone through over the last 38 episodes, we can talk about it. So to start off with, we are mostly bringing this season to an end because between the three of us,
it's all Joey's fault.
Between the three of us, our lives have changed so drastically over the 38 weeks, or however many weeks it is, that we can't keep this up anymore. I've just had a kid. Joey's had a second kid. Jordan's had massive business changes. We're just not, the three of us aren't connecting very well, which is, again, unfortunately, why Joey couldn't make it tonight. So because of that, one of the things that we're looking at is restructuring how we do this live show. I guess the goal for us is to keep the three of us in one place talking and creating a podcast. But this time frame right now, it's just not working.
Yeah, it's a very difficult time. I mean, for me, it's just at the end of the day. And the reason I was late is that I had a customer in here until 5 to 5, which is my open hours. I couldn't get angry at him for being here, but it is a very difficult time, especially if it's during the week for me. Yeah. And then Joey, he's doing it at 9 p.m. his time, which with he's got 2 bubs, that's a lot of work for his wife to handle on her own after a full day of it. So
yeah, so that's one of the things. The other thing as well is and anyone who's been in the chat over the last month or so will know that the technology, this Google Hangouts, has just been letting us down.
Rubbish.
Big time. It was amazing until we changed days from Thursday to Tuesday, and for some reason that just caused it to have a hernia, and now we are having syncing issues and dropouts and whatnot. So we need to look at a different platform. That's probably going to be one of the biggest things I think that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
And probably the last thing then is just we want to try and, I guess, change things up a bit. So it's not just the same show every single week.
Yeah. Introduce some different things.
Different elements. Yeah. We've got some ideas. We've got some really cool ideas, but we really wanted to make it a case of it's the same format, hard stop, continue, or, then start something new and continue with that for a while. So that's what we'll be looking at doing. So yeah, we're going to be taking 2 months. I reckon we'll do 2 months, Jordan.
Yeah, that seems about what we agreed upon.
Yeah, and then we'll just reevaluate from there. And in that time, we're gonna call in some R&D consultants.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some market research and check our fiscal standings, and probably not as much as that, but
all the analyses.
Yeah, we'll try and work out some very cool stuff going forward, and then we'll blow everyone's mind when we come back.
We're gonna get corporate sponsors, so every 30 seconds you're gonna hear an ad break. It's gonna be great. We're gonna be. Remember ShamWow? The towel. Oh, they're great. They're these like towels which absorb heaps of water.
Right.
And the guy that did the ad was amazing. That's the ads that I'm envisioning for our channel here. ShamWow, you can clean water. Coke on the pool table, no worries.
That phrase sounds very familiar. So I probably have seen it, or it's just been absorbed into my brain through clever marketing.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about. I feel a blank now. Why we're changing the show?
Dropped out again.
So we were going to talk about why we are moving the show.
Yeah.
What was the second thing I said a second ago?
Well, we talked about kind of things that we want to improve on and changing platform.
Oh, okay. I just shot through all of that.
I mean, that seems like all I had brought up for me before the show.
All right. I thought we were going to go into that a bit deeper, but that's all right.
We can go deeper. What keyboard and mouse are we going to use next season?
That's the real technology question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one thing that I did want to mention in this week, or in this podcast, that I know that I've said on the podcast before, and I've talked about it in this fashion, like it was the biggest game changer, was to do with the way I finish with polyurethane on my tables. A while ago, I did a video where I talked about this. You take these Scotch-Brite pads and you use them. I can't remember which episode we talked about this, but I know I definitely talked about it, where you take a mixture of wipe-on poly and terps. You mix the two into a very, very thin mixture, and you use that as a final coat for finishing like a tabletop. I can't remember which episode it was, but I know I've talked about it. Anyway, I've tried to do it since then, because at that time I was finishing something and it turned out amazing. And I think I might have just got lucky on that. And so I just wanted to mention this in this episode, because I talked about how it was the greatest thing that I've ever done. And I just want to, on the record, say that I don't know if that's necessarily the way, because I've tried it again since and it didn't work.
The more common thing to finish your finish is with mineral oil or baby oil and terps. And you do the same thing with Scotch-Brite. And that way you kind of use the oil and to lubricate, but also give it a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just say shine. That's not the word I want, but that's another way to do it. And then you don't have that stickiness.
I think what I in my mind, what I envisioned was I was taking one of those Scotch-Brite pads, putting it under my random orbit sander, and running it over as sort of the final coat. So I'd put on about 3 coats of poly, and then I'd run it over, and that would cut through the finish and fill the finish at the same time. That was what I saw in my head. Like, that was the logic. But I think what I might have just been doing was just sanding up the finish to a really high, using the Scotch-Brite to sand it, which is what you would normally do. So all that palaver about putting in the terps and the poly and all of it, didn't need to do any of that. Just put on 3 coats, wait for it to dry, and go over it with the Scotch-Brite and save yourself the mess that all of that caused. It was just, you can imagine a random orbit sander vibrating and spinning with
flinging
stuff
everywhere.
So anyway, I really wanted to put that on record to say that if there's anyone out there following me and they can't understand why they aren't getting these amazing results, that's probably why.
And that is Robin's public service announcement.
I'm just having a look in the comments here. Just all the best, and however you guys decide on the format and content of Series 2, stay positive, all 3 of you, from Don. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, the idea is this is going to be, we want to improve on all fronts. We want to make this a better podcast. We want to improve the content. So hopefully when we come back, it'll be good for everyone.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good change, but not so drastic that you don't recognize it, obviously.
Yeah, we're all going to grow beards.
Yeah.
I've already got a guest lined up, a very cool guest lined up for next season, and I'm so excited to have this guy. I'm not going to give too much away, but he's a very prominent woodworking figure here in Townsville.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to give it away. So
I don't know anyone in Townsville. I could make it up. Oh, that's Rodney, isn't it? Yeah, Rodney from down the road on Sawmill Terrace.
That is such a cool Australian name, Rodney. Speaking of figures, did you see TimberCon, your mate's the YouTube channel?
Maybe.
Didn't you meet the guy who did, what was his name? Yeah. So
the bearded one.
Yeah, he put out a video this week about vices, which I thought was really good. Like, I didn't realize that there was so much technology that goes into vices. Like, I asked the question of can I use my vice for chiseling into? Clearly, I know nothing about them. After watching this video, I'm not surprised.
The funny thing that happened, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to, because he told me, and now I'm going to tell you. If it's going to ruin our reputation, I would rather you didn't. It's not going to ruin our reputation or his or anyone. But when I first met Jesse, we were having a chat about the armor clamps, the self-adjusting clamps they've just got in, like the toggle clamps, but you don't have to do anything. And he said when they went to shoot that video, the first box that they opened to take a demo piece out, it fell apart in their hands. I'm like, hey, that's quality. And I just
it could have just been a lemon.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like they've had, next one was fine and everything at the show was fine, but it was just kind of funny hearing that the vice specialist opens up this self-adjusting, essentially bench top vice, and it falls apart. It's great.
I've just got this image of just pieces just going everywhere as it comes out of the box. Talking about vices, my not vices, not clamping. My quick clamps are not clamping anymore. Like they, those ones that you squeeze.
Yeah.
Are those prone to just failing?
Have you got? I usually have one laying around on the table. Have you got the heavy duty version with the blue and silver?
These are pretty El Cheapo from Bunnings. Yeah.
Ones, yes, that's pretty common. It gets to like a certain pressure and then it just doesn't do anything. Is that what you're experiencing? Yeah.
So you squeeze it and I can see it going forward, but then it just backs up and it goes forward and backs up. It doesn't lock in that.
Yeah, that's pretty common on those ones. The extreme edition or whatever they call it, they blue and silver, hard to miss, and they look.
Those Irwin, isn't it?
Yeah, they're the Irwins. I've never had an issue with those ones, but I have with the standard duty ones.
the black and orange craft right.
Yeah, that sort of, any of that style will have that issue. The ones that I did see at the wood show, which looked really good, were, I think they were DeWalt. They were yellow anyway. God, they looked good. They were quick action, squeezed together clamps. But yeah, you put them on and you just keep squeezing, and it just gets harder and harder until you crack the wood. It was really impressive.
Oh, I must say that's like, I don't use quick clamps very often, but when I do need them, geez, don't have, because as I say, these ones that I've got, they're just not working, so I don't use them. But when I do need them, geez, I miss them. I mainly use the F styles, and I find if I'm clamping something together, as soon as I turn that clamp, the two boards miss, which I'm guessing is pretty, or they move, pretty common. But quick clamps don't do that, do they?
No, I mean, they kind of have the more parallel mechanism, so when you are clamping, they move in a more parallel style, so it's not as bad. The like F clamps, especially, like, I think the more expensive ones, like I've got 2 or 3 Bessie ones, the extreme heavy duty ones, and those are really good because they've actually got like a ball bearing in the foot, so even if you rotate and you have heaps of pressure going into it, it doesn't twist that foot. But I do find with all my other ones, which are generic F clamps, as soon as you get a little bit of pressure, that foot starts to want to bind and twist with the screw. So that doesn't help. You get that torsion.
Yeah, geez, that's annoying when you're doing that, and it just you're going, and then it moves. And so you've got to, on the 4 corners or whatever, you've got to just slightly adjust this one and then slightly adjust this one.
Tap.
Oh, drives me mad.
My big issue now with talking about clamps is that I've got a whole rack of clamps and F clamps and sash clamps and parallel clamps and everything. I can't use any of them for surfboards.
What?
So, I mean, they just not use, like, they don't make sense to use in this application. You know, the cheap spring clamps that you squeeze together, those are the best things for it. And I had like 3 of them, so I went out and bought a couple of bags and whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff which you just don't think about when you're doing this. It's like, crap, I need to get a whole new swag of clamps.
Because even the squeeze clamps, where would you be using them?
The squeeze clamps, when you're putting the frame together and gluing it, like you hold everything together. When you put the rails on, it holds the rails up against the ribs. All that laminating. And then as you're putting your deck on, you're also using them to squeeze it down to conform to the contours and whatnot as well.
Okay. I would have thought you would only be using the bag there. That would be the only way to do it.
For me, yeah. So when I'm going to make a board for someone, I'm going to vacuum bag, but I'm on the assumption that 85% of people that are interested in doing this aren't interested in spending $1,000 on a vacuum bag setup.
Yeah.
So I want to make it, pretty accessible to just a bag of cheap plastic clamps, and the whole idea is making it that anyone can do this.
So Jim's pretty much summed it up there down at the bottom. You get what you pay for.
I don't know, the dropout.
So it's and the thing is, like, I bought those cheap Craft quick clamps knowing that they were cheap and that they were going to be a bit rubbish. But what does irk me is when, like, the product doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I can understand it not doing it well, but not doing, a clamp is supposed to clamp. And if it can't clamp, then it's completely, it's not doing its job. But yeah, absolutely, Jim, I agree with you. You get what you pay for.
A lot of the Chinese clamps actually in the instructions don't say they're clamping. They say they're cramping with an R. Like, honestly, the instructions all say, when you cramp together, man, you got to eat some bananas. That potassium will get to you.
Yeah, I was going to say,
monkeys don't cramp.
The double entendre there is amazing.
It's good. I like it.
So over the next 2 months, where do you reckon you're going to be? Because we probably won't talk to each other because it's not like we're friends or anything.
Yeah, we hate it. We hate each other.
Where are you going to be when we come back?
Well, if all goes to plan, I am going to be a full-time surfboard creator. So this is a really new venture for me because I've never actually really done anything where I sell a product. It's always been a service of some description. And this is something that's really new. So there's a lot of potential for it. Like I can sell 4 kits and I'll be making way more than I've been making every month.
Right.
For the last year, just by selling 4 kits. So as long as my marketing strategy is solid and that everything kind of gets up and running, which I think it will. I mean, I'm feeling damn positive about this entire thing. I have a feeling that life is going to be pretty damn good. Like it's not going to be an overnight thing, but as long as I can generate 2 to 4 customers every month, I'm not going to be going under.
Cool.
I think, and the fact that it's a national thing that I'm doing with the entire frame kit, like so you can buy a kit with all the Polonia, the frame, and the fiberglass cloth. You'd have to supply the resins because of freight restrictions, but you can buy that, and I can send it anywhere in Australia. Like that's a pretty cool thing to be able to ship around. It's not just frame kits anymore. So just by doing this plan, my profit margin's gone from potential of 20 grand a year of profit into $130,000 credit of profit per year. That's not gross. That's actual profit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly I don't know, but I have a good feeling about where we're going to be. It's going to be sunny. I'm going to be out in the water. I'm going to be working, doing fun stuff with people, sharing my passion with actual. Not that sharing my stuff with YouTube isn't like sharing my passion, but there's a different stoke you get from sharing it online and getting positive comments, and it's a lot different to having someone come into this space, build something with their hands, and have that smile on their face when they finally have it under their arm and walk out of here. It's going to be a pretty cool thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much to jinx it though. Like, there's a lot of pipeline stuff, but 2 months, it's not that short a time. It's not that long a time. It's still pretty short. So we might just be starting to like roll with it by then, but we'll see.
And
what about you?
You look pumped. You look super excited about it, and hopefully I mean, especially considering what it was like a couple of weeks ago when we were talking on the podcast. Yeah. Hopefully that energy will, not to sound too hippy dippy, but that energy will proliferate with, through all the people that you talk to about it. And, that's how it'll start.
I totally agree. Like, I have a mentor of sorts, which is saying that, you put positive out there, you get positive in return. And every time I'm feeling down, I say, oh, get stuffed, you hippie bastard. But it's the truth. You put positive vibes out, it comes in. The other day, I had my door open, which is, over there. And I had 3 people who were visiting my neighbors, getting jobs done or picking up coffee or whatever, just walk in and say, oh man, I love your boards. What do? You sell these? I'm like, oh, well, this is what I'm doing. Not quite set up just yet. I taped down the frame kit shops. Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to get me one of these. That's never happened. Like, I've never just had people walk into my shop and start picking stuff up.
There's never been a conversation piece.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for it, and I think lifestyle is going to benefit a lot from it. Having a standard hours. I'm not going to fall into the trap of doing 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. ever again to not make money. Like that's the fact of it.
Where it's not beneficial.
Yeah, like I was doing those hours to break even, not to make money. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty pumped.
I went for a run down on the beach this evening, and I saw a guy coming up with one of those, and I was like, I know where I should have said to him, I know where you can get an even better board.
Yeah. You want to make one of them? You could hire out. How about you hire out your shop in Townsville, and I ship the kits to you, and you run the workshops there.
I make a little commission. This is called Commerce 101.
Yeah, that's right. You'll get $3 per completed item.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm stoked. What about you? You're obviously getting clients. It's lining up now, so that's pretty exciting.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for over the next. So this person who I did the table for, the person that they know, they work together for a small naturopath. Naturopath, that's the word?
Naturopath. Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
it's one of these wellness like centers. So there's 3 of them. They've all got different, like I think reflexology is one of them. All those different types of skills. And so because I'm making work, or because I'm getting work for a business, it's not a person who wants a dining table. I'm getting work for a business. I'm hoping that will spread it faster. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'd hope that would get my work out there quicker, because it's not just stuck in someone's house. It's literally going to be on the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
So it will take off quicker. Cross fingers.
No, I mean, if you can get something like that for your first couple of jobs anyway, you're kind of asking for it, because you get a lot of traffic that way as well. It's not just sitting in someone's house. It's sitting out in the public realm.
So hopefully I'll be getting more business in that regard. The other thing as well is just time. It's I'm really struggling to juggle. We talked about how our lives have become very busy. I've suddenly got very busy at work. I have a child, and now I've got clients who want me to. So everything's just ramped up. And it's not to say that I won't be able to do it. I've got to structure like a mofo and get this all lined up. And I'm still kind of working it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, that's going to be a bit of a challenge over the next couple of weeks.
I think it'll be fairly easy. Come on. Positivity and all that.
Yeah, no, and that's why I say it's certainly not. I'm not upset about it. It's just, you go through life and stuff happens, and you work through it, and you keep going. So I just gotta work out how I'm gonna play all of these things at the same time. I'm also quite keen to get a couple more tools for the shop.
Table saw.
Table saw we've talked about. The other one as well is going to be a one of these air cleaners. These room air cleaners. TimberCon has a very cool unit, just looking at the specs. Do you think that that's a worthwhile tool to have for someone like me who's not in my shop every day, or is it just overkill?
How big's this? I mean, I think anything that gets your air going cleaner is a good idea. I mean, in a shop like mine, it just doesn't make sense because the ceiling's so high and the amount of air that's in here would not get cycled through it fast enough. But for you, I mean, there's 2 things that those are really good at. So once you get like a proper dust collector in there with a, on the top, it will take care of all the dust that passes through that. But for you who currently is using like shop vacs and stuff with high velocity air coming out of it, it will probably be beneficial in that regards too, because that does blow up a lot of dust off the floor and off the wall and all of that. So I mean, anything that takes care of your health is a good idea.
I was doing the sanding for this for the coffee table, and just the hand sanding. I don't know if it's because my ceiling in here is so low. I mean, I think it's about 2.1 or 2.2 meters, so it's really low. I'm quite lucky that I'm a short guy, but just the smallest amount of movement, and it's just it's up, and it's everywhere. So that's why I really want to get it. The problem is, because it's so low, I need to put this in a corner so I don't end up with just dents in the corners in the side of my head.
But up them under benches and stuff. I don't know how effective they are down there though.
Yeah, no, well, I'm thinking, I've got a beam that runs right through the center, and I can probably hook it on there. It'll sort of be out of the way. Or I put it right next to my aircon, my big AC unit, that it stops the dust getting into that. Just having a look at Barry, I do not have a dust extractor. I use a small shop vac and a dust mask, and that's it. I've thought about getting, and I know we've talked about on the show previously about me getting one of those. Is it a 3 horsepower, the one with the 1 bag in the?
No, I think the one with the 1 bag is either a 1.5 or 2 horse, depending on who make it. The 3 horsepower is the twin bag.
Oh, okay. I've thought about getting those, but because I'm not in the shop every day, and because of the tools that I have, I mean, I've got my jointer has the 100 mil hose, nothing else does. Oh, sorry, my thicknesser as well. It just, for me to get that just seems like I've just got a very elaborate and expensive vacuum cleaner. And so my shop vac does pretty well.
I would say, like, once you get a table saw, you'll probably benefit from a dust extractor. Just because of that. The dust extractor is high volume at low pressure, so it does a lot more with the finer particles. It kind of sucks it in around it, whereas with the shop vacs, they're more high velocity, and sometimes miss that dust that's kind of spraying out to the side. But really, I mean, it's not like you have a huge space to sweep at the end of the day. It's just you do it, you're done in 5 minutes. So.
And I mean, having said it, the price of those dust collectors, that's not actually too bad. I mean, it's a few $100. I mean, it is a few $100, but you know, if I was to do the ceiling mount and the dust, it really wouldn't take me too back. It wouldn't take me too far back. And AdSense has been pretty kind to me over the last couple of months. So I've got I've got a nice little nest egg sitting there to spend. So yeah, it might be a worthwhile investment.
What was I had something on. Oh yeah, that's right. Hafco's dust collector cyclone combo. Like they sell it as a single bag dust collector and a metal cyclone. Like that would be an awesome thing to get for a one-man shop, because then you don't have to. You empty a small bin every week instead of waiting for bags to fill up, and then you're not worrying about lugging bags out every week. And for someone like you, that you're saying you're not in there every week.
Sorry, I'm missing this. I thought most of the dust extractors just had a bag, and then you just take the bag out, empty the bag, and
that's right. So that's like standard. And then there's a deal that Hafco make, which comes with a metal cyclone. So it's a dust separator. So it keeps it out of the dust collector and puts it into a smaller metal drum, keeps your filters cleaner. And
okay, right, I'm with you. So it separates the finer particles from the big ones, and then okay. Yeah, see, this is all the stuff I like. I've never looked into this. I've just graduated from hobbyists, so I'm still coughing up planks of wood from my lungs. So yeah, I haven't really got to that conversation yet. All right. Well, it looks like we've reached time. Is anything more you want to talk about? We didn't worry about what we're watching this week, because just as I say,
crazy.
You know, I actually cannot think. William Walker put out a very cool video on a dining table with some. Is it pedestal legs where you've got the two solid ones?
Yeah.
Where he basically glued together.
Trestle?
Could be. He glued together a tree trunk, basically. It was massive. And stuck it on his lathe and stood back and thought, if this comes off, like it's going to take my head off. Yeah, it was a pretty cool video. And I always enjoy Will's videos.
Yeah, he's always got some pretty good cinematography style as well.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I've completely forgot about, in October, middle of October, is the Wood Dust Wood Expo. I'm doing a talk on the Friday morning. That's right. Getting my dates right. So I can't remember the exact date, but if you search Wood Dust, you'll find it. I'm doing a talk on the Friday about starting a YouTube channel as a woodworker. If you want to learn how to do it, the pros, the cons, the gear you need, what's involved, that sort of thing. I'm doing a talk, and I'm going to try and plan a meetup with any YouTubers in the area. I haven't got to that yet. I'm just sorting out some of the details with the organizer about when we can put it on, but hopefully, we will be able to organize something. And if you are a woodworker, this looks like it's going to be a fantastic wood show. So even if we don't do a meetup, I would still definitely come along, because it looks like it's going to be a a real good show. So it's the middle of October. I think it starts on the 14th or 15th. It's the Wednesday through to the Sunday.
Yeah.
So come along and say hi.
Yeah, it does sound like probably one of the best shows that Australia is going to put on as far as wood shows go.
Did you meet John while we were at Mullany?
I met a lot of people. Yes.
I think you might have. That was just before we left, so I think it might have just been Joey and I that met him at the wood dust stand.
Yeah, maybe. I can't say I remember, but that isn't rare for me.
Cool. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for watching. This is the last episode for a couple months. We will keep the Discord server running. We'll keep the Facebook page running, and as soon as we're ready to go back online, we'll let everyone know. And but until then, we'll keep all the social channels open. So if you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to shoot them our way. But other than that, Jordan, anything you want to end off on?
I just thank you for a fun 38 weeks. It was that was good.
It's summed up. Nice tight bow around that.
Doing the fat with other woodworkers can't be that bad, can it?
Yeah. So thanks for a good season, and we'll see you guys again soon for season 2.
Yeah. Gotcha.